In this two-part video series, we're going to create a step sequencer that can be used to modulate any parameter of any device in your live set. The first thing we need to do is to set up a way to control parameters in other devices. For this, we're going to use the Live API. The Live API is a behind-the-scenes way of controlling parts of the live set. Max installs a bunch of Live API helper code by default, which you can use in your Live API programming. Let's start editing a default Max audio device. Right-click or control-click in a blank part of the device to enter the contextual menu. Navigate down to Paste From, navigate to Live API Chooser, and select Browse.device.parameters. Now add a simple delay to the audio track you are working in. If you lock the device you are editing, you will see that you can operate the piece of API code we have just added. You use the menus in the API code to target parameters in other devices. First, select which track the parameter exists on, then select the device, in this case simple delay, then finally the parameter itself, in this case dry-wet. You'll notice that when we select the parameter, the code outputs an ID message with a value. This ID can be used from now on in this live set to refer to this particular device parameter. We can use this ID to control the value of the parameter. Create a live.remote tilde object. Take the output from our API code and patch it to the right inlet of the live.remote. Make a live.dial. Enter the inspector and set the range from 0 to 1 and the unit style to float. Join its left outlet to the left inlet of live.remote. Lock the patch and save the device. Call it API Stepper 1. Now if you reselect the simple delay parameter with our live API code, you will see that we can control parameters of the simple delay with the live.dial. Notice that when we select a device parameter to be controlled by the live.remote, the parameter has a faded look in Live's UI. This means it's under the control of the live.remote. Now let's create a live.step object. Live.step is a simple step sequencer that can be configured for a variety of uses. The live.step sequencer features multiple data lanes that can be used simultaneously. We will focus on one data type in our live.step object. To initialize the live.step object, we'll use a load bang to send the message mode 4 to the live.step object. This places live.step into a mode that gives us a range value and is separate to the more regularly used pitch, velocity, and note variations. We want to alter the appearance of our live.step to be more suited to our task. Enter the inspector for the live.step. Deselect all layers except extra 1. Deselect the unit ruler, we don't need to see that, and set the extra thickness to 1. We want a value range that will be friendly to a percentage, so we'll change the range to 0 for the minimum and 100 for the maximum. We would like our live.step to play in sync with our project, so to do that, add a time reference in the form of a phaser tilde and type the following: phaser tilde dash at frequency dash 1 dash 0 dash 0 dash bars dot beats dot units dash at lock 1. The output of the phaser is an audio signal, so we need to sample the output every 5 milliseconds with a snapshot object. This 0-1 range needs to be converted to 16 steps, so multiply the output by 16. Don't forget the decimal point and add 1, because our steps start at 1. Finally, put a change object on the end, so a value is only sent when it changes to the next step. If we connect a number box to the outlet of the change and hit play in Live, we should see a step value that corresponds to 16th notes in live. In our next video, we're going to join these two parts of the code together and finish off our device.